Well, it took them about some times, but paleontologists finally got it right when they've named the new Lizard King. I mean, they tried that one, and they tried that in, but I don't know why they tried that in. It's a whale, that in. I think we're just daft lots, aren't we, us paleos? Anyways, let's get into the video. How's it going, everybody? It's your Mosasaur, Prince Steel, Tylosaurus, Yorkshire, and, well, it's right warm today. It's a right warm today. Hope you're enjoying the bank holiday weekend in the UK. Hope you're gonna, you're gonna complain about the weather. I was going to complain about that. Now, those days, I know that they're going to complain about the weather. But anyways, today, so in literally the last few days, there's been an announcement of a new species of mosasaur that's come from Texas. And they finally given it a decent enough name, apparently. Tylosaurus rex. That's right, mosasaur's got a T-Rex now. And ours is better than one that lives on land. So before we get into the proper details about this new Lizard King, let's go over what Tylosaurus is. So, Tylosaurus is probably one of the more famous mosasaurs. It's a large-bodied tylosaurian russellosaurin mosasaur from the Turonian to the Maastrichtian. Now, that's if you can include Hainosaurus in that, but we'll get into that a bit later on. But generally, it's accepted that this animal lived from about 92.1 to 66 million years ago. So, big rock and all that. Now, if we take Hainosaurus out of the equation, then Tylosaurus seems to extend from the Turonian to the, at least, Middle Campanian, it looks like. Now, Tylosaurus fossils are distributed across the globe, but it's mainly Northern Hemisphere, particularly in North America, from the famous Western Interior Seaway that's during the late Cretaceous. And particular formations around this time include the Niobrara and the Pure Shell, which is where you get a lot of decent and very common Tylosaurus fossils. Now, Tylosaurus species range from different sizes. I mean, you've got animals that can range from about 4 meters in length to up to 13 meters or maybe more in some animals, particularly with our new fella here, Tylosaurus rex. Now, the skull of Tylosaurus is where it gets its name from. So on the very tip of the snout, on the predentral area, let's call it, we have, how do I be polite about this? We have the predentral rostrum, which actually has another name for it. It's so yeah, you could say that this is a lizard. Right, can we all not be Tylo heads about this, all right? Okay, I see they're laughing. I see it's not funny. It's not funny calling him a Tylo head, eh? Now, Tylosaurus is quite a speciose genus, so there's quite a few different species in there. But again, I think you can take a load of them out of into Hainosaurus, which actually the study does do. But typically, the more famous species that we have are Tylosaurus proriga, the type species and one of the larger species, and Tylosaurus napoleonicus. But now you can actually class that Tylosaurus rex, because of the media coverage, is probably in top 3 in there. And to be fair, I mean, Tylosaurus rex, yeah, of course it were going to get in the media. I mean, it's a pretty good name. Pretty good name. So how did we get here? So what exactly happened? Why did we get Tylosaurus rex? Well, first of all, Tylosaurus rex is known from re-examined specimens that were thought to be Tylosaurus proriga from the lower to middle Campanian of Texas, particularly in the Dallas area. However, there are a couple of examples that are found outside of Texas, particularly the bunker specimen, which was a 13-meter animal. Well, maybe more than 13 meters, actually. That animal seems to have been found in the Pure Shell Formation in Kansas, so Tylosaurus rex isn't just restricted to Texas. Now, these re-examined specimens are known from various formations, again, ranging from the lower to middle Campanian, so around about 83.5 to 77 million years ago. But in the paper, for some reason, they put it as 77 to 83.5 million years ago. You got it wrong way around, people. You got it wrong way around. So this ends out, eh? Now, the rex in T-Rex, here, this one, not that one on land, this one, the better one, it actually comes from not because they thought, oh, T-Rex, that'd be a cool name for this one. But it goes back to a fella called John Thurmond, who in 1967 actually communicated to a Mr. B. Brown. Now, whether this B. Brown was Barnum Brown, I ain't got a clue. But he suggested that lower to middle Campanian Tylosaurus displacers, which are now Tylosaurus proriga, which are now Tylosaurus rex, in a way. He actually suggested that these were distinct from that particular species at the time. And he was correct. So in fact, Rex, yeah, it's a cool name for this one, but it is in honour of Thurmond and his acknowledgement that these specimens are actually quite distinct. Now, from this study, the largest example of Tylosaurus rex is the bunker specimen, which was formerly Tylosaurus proriga. This animal seems to be about 13.2 meters, so just a bit longer than a T-Rex. Well, the T-Rex that we know of. Wait, T-Rex on land. I'm on about that, the T-Rex on land, not this T-Rex here. I'd be surprised if we could find this T-Rex on land. But anyways, really large animal, probably about, 43, 45 foot long, big animal, probably weighing in excess of maybe 6-7 tons. Big animals. And interestingly enough, this particular species of Tylosaurus, Tylosaurus rex, seems to have developed a robust skull, almost convergent with Mosasaurus, and particularly Mosasaurus halfmani. Now, it does put to question, well, what if these two met and had a fight? Well, I'll tell you what, Tylosaurus' skull in general is not built for the same bite force pressures as Mosasaurus halfmani. So if those two did come to blows, I think Tylosaurus rex wouldn't really get the advantage. Sorry, kid. Sorry. I'm not. I was probably wondering, so how do we distinguish these specimens of Tylosaurus rex from Tylosaurus proriga? So, Tylosaurus rex has generally a taller quadrate, so the bone that hinges the jaws together, that is taller than Tylosaurus proriga specimens, and there's some other little characteristics that differentiate them, so the shapes aren't all there, they don't overlap particularly. The distance, this is interesting, the distance between the third eye, which would be somewhere back here with us, I think, and the suture, so the line that connects the two bones together, so the frontal bone, which is about here, which would be about here, and maybe about here on mosasaurs, that's greater distance than in Tylosaurus proriga. Another feature is that frontal bone extends, so it's on here, well, it's in front, I'd be surprised if it were on back in my head. That's more rhomboidal than in Tylosaurus proriga, so different shaped frontal bones. And there's also different processes on the humerus bone that are different in Tylosaurus rex than to Tylosaurus proriga. So maybe this animal is actually using its arms differently, which flippers differently than Tylosaurus proriga. Another feature that I really want to highlight is actually the serrations on these animals' teeth. Very distinctive teeth. In fact, when I was looking at images of these teeth, of the teeth from Tylosaurus rex, they looked almost a bit like Mosasaurus bugei teeth, but the serrations obviously more well defined. So this guy was with a very powerfully built skull and those perfectly serrating teeth. This fella could have gone through like a hot knife through butter. I mean, I wouldn't want him buttering my toast. Hey, no. Now, additionally to describing Tylosaurus rex, the paper actually also goes over a lot of Tylosaurian phylogeny and systematics. Basically, what the team did is that they took pre-existing matrices, so lots of numbers about scoring the different morphological features of the animals. So like, oh, if I've got one horn, I get a 1. If I get 2 horns, I got a 2. If I've got 3 horns, well, there's a problem there. But sort of like that, it's basically scoring and running through computer algorithms to tell us which species are more close related to each other based on the morphology, the shape of the animals. They took those, they re-examined them, they accounted for certain features like ontogenetic factors, so basically if younger individuals will look different from older individuals and that can mess up out with the software. They corrected certain errors that were misidentified and they better defined certain terms, particularly to do with the tail. Interestingly, in this phylogenetic analysis, they decided to use Jormungandr, and with Zietlow being the main author of this paper, well, I found that quite funny. And the results are actually, well, strangely enough, a lot of the results are exactly what I thought was going to happen, but then there's a couple that didn't really pan out the way I thought they would. Number 1 being Haenosaurus is valid. It's a distinct taxon from Tylosaurus, but this paper does not use Haenosaurus bubca, the Moroccan species. It does give reasons why, but I won't really go into that. But what I will say is the diagnostic features of bubca, I believe, are solid enough to distinguish it as a valid species. Interestingly, Tylosaurus is paraphyletic. That was turning out to be prognathodon, but for the Tylosaurs. Don't start. And then a couple of little things with Haenosaurus. So Haenosaurus is monophyletic within Tylosaurus, and also may include Tylosaurus saskatchewanensis. So Tylosaurus saskatchewanensis might be Haenosaurus, but we're not entirely sure yet. It's all really confusing. Overall, fantastic paper, and also a fantastic addition to Tylosaurus. Even though I think we do need to work on Tylosaurus a bit after this paper, because paraphyletic Tylosaurus, oh! Prognathodon, but in Tylosaurus. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you're having a lovely day. See you later. Ta-da. Bye.